Have you noticed that Man United have recently been finding it pretty hard to get rid of their players, especially the biggest names who should be generating them the biggest bucks? Anytime they're trying to move a player on, more often than not it ends up being a loan deal or a free transfer. This season alone, Rashford, Antony and Sancho have gone out on loan, while in previous years Cristiano, Pogba, Lingard, De Gea, Martial and the like all left for free. This is not a coincidence, it's a pattern. United should be making a lot of cash from players like these, but that's just not been the case. Why? Well, we will answer that question in this video today. These are 5 reasons top clubs don't want to buy Man United players. But wait, Valentine's Day is almost here. Still searching for the perfect gift for your special someone? No worries, we've got you covered. If they love football, why not surprise them with something they'll actually cherish? At Goal90.shop we have premium, stylish football jerseys that'll make their heart race faster than a last-minute goal. And the best part? Up to 75% off and free worldwide shipping. So why wait? Score the perfect Valentine's gift now before the final whistle blows. Shop now at Goal90.shop. Now back to the video. Let's face facts, Manchester United is a dysfunctional club in serious need of rehabilitation. But then, when it comes down to the players, it's always a question of, is United scouting horrible, or does this dysfunctional club just kill talent? Trying to find out what the case is a bit of a risk. Now, that risk involved is one reason certain clubs just stay away completely, while others try to mitigate the risk by spending little to no money on the transfer. I mean, for example, look at Sancho. He was great at Dortmund, but when he moved to United, things didn't work out at all. But he moved back to Dortmund on loan, was good again, and he's doing well on loan at Chelsea now. In this case, you could say that the problem was not the scouting. Sancho is a top talent, no doubt, but apparently the state of the club hindered him from actually playing at his very top level. But the next question becomes, how badly has he been affected by the dysfunction at the club? Is the damage irreparable, or is this someone who can be fixed? This element of risk is why clubs usually want to approach with a loan deal or get them in on a free transfer. That way, they don't lose much if it doesn't work out. And this leads us to our next point. Some clubs and coaches are aware of the quality of the players, but they just don't want to have to do a reorientation of these players. You see, when you have a player who's been in a bad system for a long time, as a coach, you would have to do some work to get that player up to speed with how things work in a better environment. For example, take Kai Havertz. He has adapted well now, but you remember how things were at the beginning after his move to Arsenal? Arteta brought him in from a dysfunctional Chelsea, and he had to be patient and persistent with him before he started to come good. He didn't score a goal from open play in his first 4 months at Arsenal. Not every coach has that patience, so they just avoid buying players from such dysfunctional clubs as Man United. Now, this next one is a huge reason for most clubs, and we saw it this January as well. Massive wages. Man United is one of the most generous clubs when it comes to paying their players, and that makes it super difficult for them to move them on. Other players don't want to or simply can't afford the wages of these players, so they can't buy them. This was one of the reasons Rashford couldn't find a club until late in the window, and even when he finally did, Aston Villa still couldn't cover his full salary and needed help from United. The same thing happened with Sancho. The clubs who wanted to sign him couldn't afford his wages, so it became very complicated. In these cases, these clubs end up not buying. Instead, they try to get the player on loan and tell United to take care of a certain percentage of the player's wage. And more often than not, United agree to do that because they're desperate. And that leads us to our next point. You see, in the end, football is a business and everyone is always trying to get the very best deal. Man United have proven to be a pretty bad selling club in recent years. They only try to sell players when it's obvious that they are desperate to see them go. Once clubs smell that desperation, they know they can get the player without paying too much, or sometimes anything at all. Look at Rashford, Alexis Sanchez and Sancho for example. Before they left, it was obvious that they were never going to play for United again, so the clubs who wanted them knew they didn't have to pay a dime. United had shown that they didn't want those players and were desperate to get them off their books, so these clubs would even look at it as them doing United a favour by taking the player off their hands. Finally, the media and Man United legends can be toxic. More often than not, they make these players out to be villains, so even if coaches believe in them and want them, it's usually difficult for them to convince their owners or boards to bring out the cash for such players who've repeatedly been condemned in the media. There's the fear that such a player could come in and have a negative impact on the dressing room as well as the club's image, so owners would usually not be too keen about an outright purchase. This usually leaves the coaches with the option of first testing the waters by getting the player in on loan, maybe with an option or obligation to buy after certain conditions are met, just like Chelsea did with Sancho and Aston Villa have now done with Rashford. But for you, what do you think is the biggest reason why top clubs try to avoid spending money on Man United players? Is it the wages, the damage the media has done on their image, or the fear that the player has been ruined by United? Maybe you even have a completely different angle that we haven't thought of at all. Feel free to share with us in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on amazing content like this, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.